Oh God, like Saturday morning would have been fine. Okay, yeah. Go.
Honestly, it's no biggie.
And we are live.
Won't be memorized.
We are live. Hello.
Hello.
We are joined by Murugiah and Sunny Day of We Buy Your Kids. Biddy, unfortunately.
Apologies.
Pardon? What was that?
Well, for everyone watching at home, Biddy's not joining us tonight because she went and had her wisdom teeth out yesterday, so she's not in the zone to be talking to anyone today. So she sends her apologies. So next time.
Get well, Biddy.
Yeah, get well soon.
So, thank you for joining us. You've both been putting out such great work in the past 12 months. And we've obviously got Murugiah's 2001 up on the wall, and I've got We Buy Your Kids Clockwork Orange up in the flat, but unfortunately we're not there. We're here in my office where I work. So I wanted to. I guess it would be great to just if each of you could sort of just give a sort of brief description of the kind of work that you do in terms of who you tend to do work for and what forms your art takes, you know, if it's prints or original work or if it's paintings and that sort of thing, just to those who don't know, criminally don't know, no, I'm joking, who you are, so that they're a bit familiar before we crack on with some questions.
Yeah, sure. Sunny, why don't you go first?
Cool. So I'm Sunny Day. First time caller, long time listener. Again, yeah, the hairy half of WBYK with my wife Biddy Maroney, who again can't be here tonight. We are a multi-purpose studio, I guess you'd call us. Everything that we make is collaborative. We both touch all the work that we make, and we work for loads and loads of different people these days. We have a foot in so many doors these days, whether it's film work, TV, music, commercial advertising, agency work. We started a fucking pub. We have a very wide net of work that we make and clients that we work for these days. And then on top of that too, we when we have the time, we make personal work as well. So, I guess all around creatives, but our main focus is working as illustrators. So that's us.
Thank you. Okay, Murugiah.
Yeah, so my name's Murugiah. I'm a commercial artist. That's the catch-all term I've decided to give myself. I've been to so many weddings this year, and they're like, what do you do? And I say, big list of things, and then I go, commercial art, that's what I make. But at the same time, I make personal artworks for myself, and I use those personal artworks to collaborate with brands, and I'm trying to kind of explore the personal art space that I make into sculptural forms, into full-on collaborations where it's more about my creative thinking in connection with a brand. That's one side, and then the commercial art side, I do stuff that's very similar to what Sunny just mentioned, which is kind of working with commercial brands. I'm not as successful as you guys. I'm in awe of We Buy Your Kids, and have been for many years.
A couple of weeks.
Give it a couple of weeks. Yeah, well, you're on it. You seem to be on quite a trajectory at the moment, Murugiah.
I'm trying my best. I've been in this space, this alternative movie poster space, since 2010, or maybe even earlier. The early days of Ollie Moss, and I've been failing upwards up to this point, and finally got to a place where my style and my creative thinking, my unique tone has come to fruition, and that's made me very happy. So I've had a lot of practice. I've had a lot of ups and downs in this world. But yeah, I do magazine covers, book covers, record covers, that kind of thing, all sorts. That was not a very concise description.
We'll take it all the same. I can't remember which musician it was, but he said something along the lines of, "It took me 10 years to become an overnight success." Would you say that sort of applies to...
I wouldn't even say I'm an overnight success yet, but yet is the good term to use there. I'm doing well, and it has taken me a long time to get here, so I'm very, very thankful and grateful that it's resonating with people.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's it too. It's definitely one of those things where, there's a lot of groundwork that gets put into all these things, like nothing just happens in a vacuum, right? Like there's trial, there's error, there's mistakes, there's successes, and then all of a sudden you're at this point and you're doing all these cool things and working for all these cool people. But again, from all that hard work, good things come.
Yeah, I've been talking to two art directors that run two very special magazines in my kind of world, and I've been talking to them since 2012, trying to work with them, wanting to do a project with them, and it's only till even today they're still like, when the right project comes through, we'll let you know. And it's that persistence and kind of not annoyance of your art directors, but just that persistence of wanting to work on those special projects that you've always been fans of. It's a long slog. A long ass slog.
We've got to just before we get into things. There was before we went live, Sunny said that there was an elephant in the room, and that was the extensive shoe collection behind you.
Oh my goodness!
And there's a question in the people are noticing. Okay, and the question that's been put here is: if Murugiah had to live without shoe trainers or posters, which would it be?
Posters.
Oh my goodness! Well. That's so difficult because I have artwork everywhere. I've got We Buy Your Kids Doctor Strange marble print in the living room. I look at it every day. And with the trainers, with the shoes, that's a tough question. I would have to say I could get rid of trainers. I know I have lots of them, but I could get rid of the shoes.
You're definitely playing to the audience there, Mike, with that answer, I reckon.
Honestly, I've got a James Jean mother print that looks down on me every day, and she's holding her bloodied heart out of her chest, and it's creepy and it's weird, but it inspires me every single day. I can't say the shoes do that. They're just very comfortable.
Well, you obviously picked the right shoes then. So if we could, there's a topic we'd like to cover throughout the convention is composition. And I think the shapes that we see from both of you are at times avant-garde, at times disturbing, at times wondrous. And I just wanted to see how each of you sort of approach composition when, from the very beginning of a poster process, and sort of what it means to you. I suppose if I direct it to one of you, then the other, and then if there's some interplay between you. So, Sunny, if you could talk about how you approach sort of composition in your work.
Look, composition is king. It's the foundation, and I mean that's my part of our work, like just handling that kind of stuff, and it's important. Like you've got to be able to make things work in the space, and that's what I love about working, especially in print, right? Like whether it's a record cover or a poster or a giant billboard, like you have this space and you have to fill it, but it needs to tell a story, right? And being able to kind of juggle all those elements succinctly, especially within a poster as well. Like how do you sum up a poster 18 by 24 or 24 by 36 without it being too cluttered, but without having too much negative space, all these things. And for me, it's like we tend to sort of land in 2 or 3 different camps, but generally it's sort of centered and things sort of come out of a very centered image. You might have the punk singer poster that came out today.
You bring it up before I did, but no, it's an incredible piece, and I love the fact that you've gone with 3 colours. Sorry, go on.
Well, again, that's just in a straight line, centered, boom, and then everything comes out from there. Like the sketch that we sent off to Mondo and IFC, way more stripped back, and we built that up from there, and then Biddy builds all of that out, but that key composition remains intact, where you're just looking at her face, your eyes go up towards the tiger and the panther up in the top of the picture, and then but for me it's like, this is one thing I always sort of, when I have the chance or when I'm asked, that's the one thing I always comment on, especially with other people's work too, is that, like, what are you trying to say and how are you going to show that? My biggest gripe with some work is, too many little things. But again, with Murugiah's work, that works. But in other people's work where there's just too much going on and there's no real key focus there, it's a problem. And I think being able to take a step back and look at what the image is trying to say is really important.
It's an interesting what you said about Murugiah's work, because there are sort of, I think it might be a bit. It would minimise it to call them Easter eggs, but there's a lot of digging to be done in the work.
There's still an anchor there, if you know what I mean. Like, things do branch off, you know what I mean. So, and you're able to go on a little journey. That's what worked about his composition, is that you're able to go around and see and find all these things where it's not just things haphazardly placed in the space.
And
you just explained it better than I ever could.
You'll get it remains to be seen. But I think one of the things, just before I do move over to Murugiah, on posters you seem to have a love of 18 by 24. Is that a conscious decision? Is that some artists have told me that they love 18 by 24 because it's really easy to take to conventions. Although you can take any size poster to this convention, to be fair.
Well, I mean, to be honest, that's the size that we're told to work at for the most part. I mean, as much as we have this freedom to work, we also love constraints. We love a brief, and I think honestly our work works better at 18 by 24 too. And it's just, especially when Biddy's outputting print files and things like that too, like, it is easier for her to work at 18 by 24 than 24 by 36. And again, it's one of those things, like, people do like it when we go large, but on the other hand too, like, from a purely commercial point too, like, it's way easier to sell 18 by 24 than 24 by 36 for us.
Okay.
And
just one last question. You talked about how for you guys, and for We Buy Your Kids, it's a collaborative, creative process. And when you're, my so far understanding, and it may be incorrect, but it's sort of the form in terms of that the shape is what you bring, and then the textures and colours is what Biddy brings. Is that an oversimplification? Or
no.
Is it? Oh, good.
No, if you had to do the elevator pitch, that's how we work. And again, it's one of those things that we've been able to streamline over the 12 years or so we've been doing this, that we can just hand things off to the next person, and then on to the next thing too. Because and Sean will tell you this as well. Like, you've got to keep hustling. You got to keep swimming. A shark's got to swim, right? And there's no, for our workflow, it just works better that way. And we're all playing to our strengths as well. That's the other thing, because B will take my skeleton and then build it out, add things, and then bring it to life. Like, that's just how we do it, and it works, you know.
And is it a sort of Reg Dwight and Bernie Taupin sort of one thing happens and then the next thing happens, or is there a?
Oh, again, it depends on the job too. Like, there might be revisions, there might be client notes and stuff like that might go back to me and whatnot. So that generally it is like a clean handover, but then sometimes there is back and forth, and then we're always working on the project together while it happens too. So, you know, as much as there's a little bit of delineation between the roles, like each of us is still involved in the process.
Cool. So, Murugiah, I have seen on a Mondo, on a little, there was a Mondo chat where you did show one of your sketches, and you said that it goes from this like no bigger than a playing card sketch to the finished article. Oh, he's going to show us another one.
I'm just trying to find it. I'm trying to find the one I showed.
I just thought that might, if we go from sort of the birth of the idea in terms of how you do work, because you do have a very unique approach, I think, particularly in terms of alternative movie posters, maybe not in poster work in general. I wouldn't necessarily know, but Jasper Capenhead asking a question, by the way, that is constantly running through my mind since I saw you talk on that Mondo chat, is any likelihood of a collaboration between you guys?
Always.
Perhaps you could design a shoe together.
Oh my goodness! Yes, please.
What, Nike on the phone?
Yeah, that's good.
I have friends in high places.
I'm leaning towards. I don't know if you can see up there. All those boxes, they belong to the creative mind of one Kanye West, and I think I'm leaning towards them a little bit. I've been a Nike head my entire life. But I put his shoes on, and they're just incredibly comfortable and futuristic. They're like the type of creative thinking that you enjoy to see in any industry.
Yeah, he loves shoes more.
It's like
he loves shoes.
He's not doing what has been. Yeah, I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back to artwork. But it's the type of creative thinking that is, it's futuristic. It's not what's come before. It's developing on what's existing and moving it forward. And that's always something that I'm interested in any form of art. Even though a lot of my artwork is very retro looking, I am inspired by designers and illustrators from the 1960s, and I'm taking what they do best and then adding on top what our current world is going through. Our current world is a very hectic, haphazard approach to life and just the way we kind of process information. That's why I've got a central image in my designs and then all sorts of random stuff around the edge. It's never premeditated, the actual Easter eggs or anything like that. The central image is often thought out a little bit, but it starts here. So, for example, this is the WandaVision sketch, and I don't even think that's not even a hexagon, is it? It's an octagon or whatever. I couldn't even draw the appropriate shape in the center. But
it's a pentagon because it's got 5 sides.
It's a pentagon. So I knew I wanted the hex, even though I didn't know how to draw it because I'm dyslexic. But I knew I wanted the hex to be the main structural element to the poster, and then I think that was the only, and then I think I wanted the title at the bottom, but that was the only initial thought I had, and then the rest of it all came as you start drawing the hex, you start drawing the main 2 characters, and you think, okay, they're centralized, how can I kind of explore fun things about that TV show from my point of view, which was the changing time periods, and then okay, how can I represent the changing time periods in other ways? So I used retro TV signals and logos and things. And there's a bunch of TVs at the bottom that all come from the different time periods. It's all very like, okay, I'll pull that bit in now and I'll pull that bit in now. The one big thing that I would say, which is what Sonny was talking about, where some posters tend to just throw everything into the poster, I would say that I like to throw little vignettes of elements that I like. but I don't want to represent them as seen in the TV show or the movie. I want to abstract them in a way.
That's the big point too. Like that's one thing we try and steer away from is anything that's literally a scene from the movie or the TV show that we're working on. So again, we just want to be able to kind of pique people's interest in this thing and have that. Like imagining this is the poster for the film when it came out. People ask that question: what is this? Should I go and see this movie? What is this crazy artwork?
It's interesting what you said about the vignettes, Murugiah, because if you think about, you mentioned Ollie Moss before, and it would be a concept, but it seems like that your approach allows you to fulfill not in a messy way, but it like a number of creative ideas for telling a story. As you say, with if you take the One Division poster, which is a great example, you've got the TVs showing different eras, but then you're also you're doing something quite conceptual. You're doing something conceptual with the figures themselves, and about Vision being not in the real world and that sort of stuff. Does your format allow you to communicate multiple ideas? Do you see it that way?
Does my format allow me to?
Or did your approach to a poster allow you to say a number of things?
Yeah, I would say it's from the very beginning, the 2001, all the way up to one that's coming out later in the year, and one that's just been like on the back. It's been finished, but it's probably never going to get released, and it's my favorite one, so I will never be able to talk about it. But anyway, I think having the approach of being able to move things around and adapt things, not being too rigid with your style and with your aesthetics, means that it allows you to kind of be a bit freer with how you want to approach a film. So there is a poster coming out at the end of the year, and it's considerably different in terms of tone to the rest of the stuff I've done, but it still maintains that quality of seeing little elements from the film around the edge of the poster, but seeing a centralized idea as well. It really depends on the film that you're working on and how much reverence you're paying towards it as well. So, for example, the Stanley Kubrick projects, I had a lot more reverence for 2001 than I did for Clockwork Orange, which is why in 2001 I'm paying homage to scenes from the film that you can remember, that you can recognize. Whereas in Clockwork Orange, I was like, I love that movie, but I don't necessarily need to draw Andy McDowell's character central, massive, like the posters I've seen. I wanted to kind of like explode it and see and express something that hasn't been seen before, basically. But in 2001, everybody's seen the monolith, they know it, but I decided to put it in there anyway. It's having that freedom to choose what you think is best for the project and not being too rigid, I would say, that really helps in the design process.
Awesome. You said about the sort of referencing, about how you're referencing different styles. Oh, is Murugiah hello?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Sorry. So you talked about sort of referencing like 60s styles before, and I can see that sort of those retro aspects, and yet it feels like it could only come from now. And I think that there are types of music, that some of the music can be sort of derivative at times, but it feels like but it can feel like it's come from, like, even though it's referencing the 60s or the 50s or 40s or whatever, that
continuation.
But do you think that there are there reasons that posters look like they came from 2021? Are there certain impacting factors, life and whatever, and the internet and the way that lots of people will be consuming the art? Do you think that has an effect on the finished product and the process for you guys?
Oh, Sonny, you should take this one.
Oh, look, I'm trying to spend as little time on the internet as possible. And I think that's one of the things, it's so easy to just get bombarded with stuff. And it's overwhelming. And I think in terms of putting pressure on yourself to make work and trying to keep things fresh, it can be a bit of a detriment to be around all the stuff. You know, I think for us, it's always about trying to progress. And if we can do that, it's like a day-to-day thing. And it's just, if things happen, they happen, but trying to force things never works. And again, and I'll be the first to say this too, the last 18 months have been pretty shit, they've been pretty shit. And I reckon you'd be hard pressed to find any person working creatively these days who hasn't been impacted by it, and I think that's definitely one of those things that can add a 2021, like Sean was saying. This hecticness, this negativity, this sense of pervasive dread, and but at the same time too, you want to try and be a bit uplifting with your work too. And I guess that's one of those things that's been so rewarding for us these last little bit, how people have responded to the work that we've been making, And for us, it's not like we're deliberately trying to make anything new or go in another direction. It's just how the work's evolved.
Cool. Sorry. Go.
I feel like I barely answered your question.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Your answer is your answer, and you can't change it. But by the way, that one of your favourite pieces by one of my favourite pieces of yours is just behind you there. The White Men Can't Jump.
Oh yeah, I love that poster.
It's such a cool print.
Yeah, it's great.
We've got some questions from the audience, and I wondered if I could bring them in. There's lots of people saying hey. Prince in Blood, hello. We've got Xavier Cabrera, and and he asks, is the Loki sketch ready?
I was commissioned by Mondo to work on another couple of posters before the MondoCon, where I basically pitched Loki to them live. They accepted. So it's a little ways down the line, and some other movies have come out since where I have grabbed onto them and felt I really think I could apply my skill set to this film. So it is third in the big long list of projects that I'm currently working on. Yeah. I never thought I'd have this much work. Now I'm very much I'm not dreading the work that comes my way now. I'm just cool, just business as usual. Just keep trying to make things fresh and just don't get too kind of disheartened by the business of it, kind of what's next on the list type of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. But long answer to the question, yes, it's coming soon.
Oh, you heard it here first or second or something. Michael Rice asks, and this is it's a classic question, it's what's at the top of the bucket list for each of you in terms of dream projects?
Poster-wise, give me a minute. I always wanted to make a poster for the band Sonic Youth, but that's never going to happen now, so pour one out for those guys. But I don't know, film-wise, I don't know, there's one of those things at the moment, just the bigger properties are kind of a lot more fun for some reason, and just being able to kind of just draw these characters has been a lot of fun. So personally, I'm into doing more of that. So, more Star Wars, more Marvel. We've been doing all that work for Lucasfilm and Disney for their socials and stuff like that. So that's been really fun. But then
I enjoyed the Darth Maul portrait that you did.
Which is about to drop.
Seeing that character very fresh. Yeah.
His APs for that are about to drop. Is that right, Sonny?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
So we'll put the.
That's what kept me up until 3 a.m.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this. So, long story short, on the fact that it is 3 a.m. where Sunny is that we had a chat at about this time of day at one point, and I thought, oh, this must be a good time for him, and that's why it's at 6 p.m. Incorrect.
It wasn't that bad. I was up playing Borderlands and doing the shop. It wasn't always. So yeah.
And for you, Charlotte, what's the sort of the
excuse me. I would say the dream project. It's always there is a list. There's a big list, but the one that seems to keep coming back to me is Jodorowsky's Dune. Alejandro Jodorowsky's the documentary about the failed attempt to make Dune. Killian Eng did a wonderful poster for it many moons ago, and I love how batshit crazy Jodorowsky is, and how I just think that that documentary and that film was so inspirational. Mobius is one of my favorite artists, and I don't know if anybody's seen that documentary. Yeah, have you seen it, Sonny?
That's amazing.
I have.
So there's a moment in
that the 5 copies of that pitch doc that they would take around to all the producers. Been waiting for them to actually turn that into a coffee table book that you could actually buy with all of the.
It's funny you mentioned that coffee table book, because in the movie they say that they give different 5 copies of that to each of the main film studios, and then there's a montage of how those pages have been literally translated into some of your favorite movie scenes, and that is kind of Jodorowsky is he was so close to being one of the most influential filmmakers with that film, potentially, if you believe the film, if you believe the documentary and the hype of the people in the documentary. But those those creative geniuses, H.R. Geiger, Mobius, and Jodorowsky, they were about to change the world, and then they didn't. And that is something that, if you can try and get that into a poster, that would be, I feel like that would be pretty cool. I don't know how many Jodorowsky's Dune fans there are right now, but it's a very niche project, I think.
Enough.
I would say enough.
Gareth, just quickly, Jaws I actually came back to Jaws. That would be another.
Okay.
Because I think I sold Jaws while I was in hotel quarantine a few weeks ago. So that would be another bucket list one, because we had a go at that many years ago from Mondo, and it didn't stick.
See, Jaws is something that's quite daunting for me, because there have been so many amazing pieces of artwork for it, and
you're also dealing with the best movie poster of all time, right?
Exactly.
The Jaws poster of all time, and how do you can't come close. And I mean, a few people have, especially in the alternative scene, that poster is just going to stand the test of time.
So it's 2 very different thinkings here. I think Sonny and Biddy, you're interested in challenging yourself on a very iconic movie here, whereas I'm interested in finding a very niche movie and exploding it out onto a poster, I'll get there eventually when I start tackling the big major ones that have been around for generations.
I feel like we've done a lot of niche stuff, especially back in the day, we've thrown all the left field stuff, and we can still do that, but then it's well, how about you give us one of the big names, right? How about we have a crack at that and see what we can do, see if we can stick the landing on that. And again, the niche stuff, and we still do a lot of short film posters and things like that too. So we're able to kind of do these weird indie things and these little standalone pieces. But then it's really kind of cool to have the chance to kind of flex your muscles and have a crack at something that's so mainstream, so in everyone's mind, something that everyone knows, because some people fuck like mud. Most people would not even know that movie, right? Or God, I can't even think of another. Or Cat in the Brain, or one of those giallos that we did back in the day. Weird things like that. I like being able to kind of have that chance to sort of jump into both of those worlds.
I find it fascinating, Sonny, but with We Buy Your Kids portfolio, the range of, like sort of certificates of films for one, but also just that pure range and how you will bring something inspired to each property, whether and come at it from a way that makes people think and stuff. We've got a question from Paul Tate, who says the colours you both use are amazing. Do you ever find yourself having to make tough decisions to pick the best colourway for your poster? Will we see more colour variants in the future? I assume in terms of that, because obviously you've got three variants you've got three different versions of the punky dancer. Sorry, no, I've said that wrong. What is it? Singer. That's what I said.
Yeah, well, that was another thing too, like where we sort of pitched all those colours, and we wanted to keep that thing stripped back as much as possible. And they're like, well, why don't we just do them all? But in general, that's Biddy's domain for the most part, and I think a lot of people associate our work with being bright, with being vibrant too. And Biddy's got a great eye for just picking the right colours for things too. Like sometimes I might sort of eyedropper colours into a sketch as a suggestion, and then we just sort of build off of that. But that doesn't happen a lot of the time these days. But yeah, colours her domain, and I feel really bad for even trying to answer that question. So sorry.
Biddy, get well soon.
I would yes, get well soon, Biddy. I need your help because I have no idea how to use colour. I just put it on the paper. No, I did.
Dude, I think you're really underselling yourself there, mate. Like, you have a great sense of colour.
Oh, thank you very much.
I mean, it's pretty damn colourful, Sean.
I know. I think that the big one in terms of colour in recent history was the Clockwork Orange, right? I think when the guys at Mondo saw that, they were kind of taken back by the fact that I had used the colour orange very sparingly, and it was only because I had seen what had come before and the plethora of posters that were predominantly orange or white or black. I was like, let me just try something different. And I think that's an approach to colour, isn't it? It's wanting to do something that you hadn't seen before. Whereas, for example, with WandaVision, I kept somewhat strict to the colours of the characters. I kept them pretty primary, but I did, and I think Marvel projects moving forward might follow the WandaVision path, but sometimes they may not. It's what you see around. Part of the research that you have to do around these images is to see what's already been done and see if you can add a fresh take. If someone sees your poster for the first time and is like taken back by it, that's the feeling you want to give, and that's I'd say the use of color applies there too. Not being afraid to use color, that's a big one. I think a lot of people fall back on using saturated, muted colors because they suit the particular film property, but they don't have to. Posters for films in the 70s were often, they had big bright yellow The Shining. It's a big bright yellow poster for The Shining, right? But that movie has no yellow in it. So it's trying to pick a color that represents the film that in another way. Another note on color: Jack Woodhams of Poster Spy directed a documentary with me for Birmingham Design Festival, and the topic was color.
Because the theme for Birmingham Design Festival was color.
It was indeed, yes. So that documentary, I think, will be made available to the public very soon. It was kept for Birmingham Design Festival, but I think we're making it public very soon. So I'll be sure to kind of link that out to everybody as soon as it arrives.
Andy Roberts, who worked on the design work for AMPjam, is part of the Birmingham Design Festival team, and we are in Birmingham right now.
Good stuff.
So yeah, I still haven't gotten a chance to see that chat, but
Excuse me.
But
I've got the worst sore throat in the world. Apologies if I.
Thank you for braving it. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's not COVID.
It's not COVID, everyone. Right, well, we've got... So, Murugiah, you're going to be dropping some new... so you're going to be opening up your store again, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I have got existing work. So it's the Stanley Kubrick posters. It's some Grateful Dead posters I did with Bottleneck Gallery. And there's a personal art print of mine, Lakeshore Drive, that will be up on the store as well.
Awesome. And what's the URL for that? We'll pop it in the comments. Is that...
Is it
Murugiah.com/store?
Yeah, Murugiah. No, I would say go to Murugiah.com and then there will be a link to the shop. So
head to Murugiah.com. We'll pop that in the comments right now. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. And Sonny, you're going to be dropping not just your Star Wars print, is that right? Apparently the links are already in the description of the video because Key is such a star. There's Key. There she is. And Key is actually wearing a T-shirt which I believe you also own.
Yeah. Amazing.
And I gave her that T-shirt. It's formerly my T-shirt.
Oh, cool. There's a dream project right there. A tie-dye T-shirt for a movie anywhere. Somebody get in contact with me. I want to do a Godzilla tie-dye T-shirt. I think that would be batshit crazy. So.
Anyway, so Sonny, you've got so you're releasing your APs for Star Wars. And you've got you've done some diving.
A couple of little restocks of things as well. So if people are chasing some stuff from the last 12 months, you might be in luck.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'll put that. We'll be sharing those on our Twitter and whatnot. I'll try and pop them in the comments as well. I know we've already got them in the description. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Again,
a pleasure. Thank you. Look, I'm really happy that you have managed to put this all together, and I think it's such an amazing thing for people to have right now. Like, not being able to be a part of anything physical at the moment. It's great to have these opportunities to get together and talk. And yeah, thanks, Gareth.
Thank you, Sonny.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gareth. Thank you very much.
We'd love to have you back again. Sonny, I believe you're going to join us for the Big AMPjam panel. Murugiah, are you going to join us for the panel? Or the cost might take you by then.
If I survive, yeah.
So the Big AMPjam panel, hopefully these two will return if Sonny also gets enough sleep.
Yeah, let's see how I go.
We won't hold him to it necessarily. He's given us some great insights today.
Look, I'll stay up till 3 to talk shit. It's just, I'm born for that.
So Andrew Coughlin, a friend of mine, has said, "Don't fight it, Gareth." That's because he can see that I was about to cry. Anyway, right. So thank you guys, and yeah, we'll the Murugiah store will go up as soon as the stream ends, and Sonny's going to drop some new stuff for We Buy Your Kids on his store. And thank you again for everyone for joining us for AMPjam 2021.
Thanks, guys. Rocking Fountain.
Thank you.